Adeyemi, Precious, Zena, Pelumi. I'm already calling your name, so just let me know briefly what's the expectation for today. What do you hope to learn? It can just be a one-line statement. What do you hope to learn? What are you looking forward to? Hi, Ayomide. Nice to meet you, Ayomide. So just briefly let us know what is one thing you just want to get out of this session. It can be something very little, it doesn't have to be big or huge. If you want to speak, you can just use the raise hand button so we'll know that you are ready to speak and we'll meet you. Okay, Precious wants to speak. Precious, please go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Miss Praise. For me, I think what I would love to get away with from this session would be like a solid um communications and storytelling plan, especially
Mhm.
for how we are going to go about our different projects. So something
Interesting.
actionable. Sorry?
Interesting. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing, Precious. Who else wants to share? I need more people to unmute their mic. This is an interactive section. I won't be the only one speaking. And I do not intend to speak for long. I want us to make sure that at the end of the day that our expectations are met. Okay, Merlin said, I am Merlin. Okay, I am here to learn how to effectively communicate. Things I do can be projects, correlated work. Great. Queenette said, I'm Queenette. I expect to learn a lot and gain knowledge from this session. Great. Damilo, I'm here to gain more understanding about telling stories in a way that is simple, clear, and structured. Perfect. Pelumi, I expect to learn how to weave public health learnings. Quite interesting. Projects in the story, share proposal, I submit to funders. Lovely. I love that. Ayomide, my special is that I want to learn new things and sharpen myself in the right way. Great. Okay. Natasha, and my expectation from this call is to be able to be efficient in expressing myself while passing an information. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All interesting expectations. Thank you all for sharing. So, this is going to be quite an interactive session. So, while this session is going on, we may have to pause and I'll ask questions. Please feel free to use the raise hand feature at any time and say, "Oh, I didn't get this," or I have a question right here, or just use the chat box, right? If you are following me, just let me know you are following me till we get to the end of the conversation. Thank you. So please, can you confirm if you can see my slide?
Yes, yes, we can. We can see this.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Adibola. So we'll just go ahead. So today's focus, we have a lot, right? When I was looking at the scope of the topic, it's a lot, and trust me, it's not something you can talk in a day when it comes to advocacy, storytelling, communication for social impact. It's not a conversation that you can have just one day. It's storytelling is a different angle, communication is a different angle, advocacy is different, but it is all interrelated because what it does is that it's communicating impact one and it's connected by the people and the community you serve. So let's just go ahead and see what we can do, how we can do justice to this conversation within the time frame. So, what is storytelling? I know a lot of us have heard the word storytelling. And when you look at it, there's always this conversation about, oh, you have a story to tell. Storytelling is now like a buzzword everywhere. Oh, you have a story, tell your story. Nobody's going to tell your story for you. But if we look deep down, especially when it comes to social impact, the question is, what is storytelling? When it comes to social impact, when you try to conceptualize it, for the framework of impact, what is storytelling? So this is how I decided to put storytelling from what I know and from my experience and what I believe can be a general definition to guide our conversation for today. Storytelling is the art of communicating information, experience, or truth in a way that resonates emotionally, inspires action, and explains complex realities in simple terms. I remember one of us in the chat box said, I want to be able to communicate my project in clear terms. I want to be able to communicate the impact of the work I want to do in clear terms. That's to show you that even your expectation is so realistic, right? From the definition of storytelling, you already know that storytelling is an act, yeah, communicating an information in a way that resonates emotionally, emotionally. So let's just hold on to the key terms. Emotionally, inspires action and explains complex reality in simple terms. It is not just what you say that makes a story great or makes what I'm communicating to be lovely. It is how you make the people feel to what you are saying. With time, we are going to look at some examples, right? So, what is social impact? This is really, really key, whether you're talking about comes storytelling for the conversation today and for the field where we are in, like talking about health. This is social impact, impacting people. Social impact is measurable, intentional change. Social impact refers to a significant positive shift in the lives of people and communities brought by deliberate action. Policies can be through programs, policies, advocacy. So it's not just about, oh, I have good intention. I want Nigeria to be better. I want the situation of menstrual health to be good. That is not just social impact. It moves from I have the intention to what can I do? What am I going to do? Who is going to be changed? What is the solution? Should we go through programs? Should we go through policies? Should we just go through raising awareness and sensitization, which is advocacy? So social impact moves from ah a lot of menstrual health is not a huge thing. When you go to a certain community in Nigeria now, maybe in Oyo State, you see that a lot of women don't know much about menstrual health. It's different from, oh, I'm just thinking about it. And its social impact is taking your thoughts from thinking and intention to actual action. So there's a process. People, problem, progress, results. Let's just go ahead. So storytelling for social impact. Now we are trying to deep down what is storytelling for social impact. Is the strategic use of narrative grounded in research. Key terms again: narrative grounded in research, human insights, clear communication to promote a cause, raise awareness, or that behavioral change. So these are the key terms if we look at it: rooted in truth. Rooted in truth. So your story must be grounded in authentic experiences. And where can we get this authentic experience, if I must ask? They are from the people. So let me say, for example, I'll be using a lot of examples so that we'll just make it really relatable to all of us. Let's say, for example, that we want to carry out a menstrual health campaign in a community in Oyo State. And we have seen from that community that a lot of the girls between 13 to 18 years don't really know much about menstrual hygiene. They don't know about using of their pads, sanitary pads. They don't know how to use sanitary pads. They don't know how to dispose them. They have little knowledge. They're not even being taught at home. That authentic story of what you have seen in that community is what is the truth that you can use to tell your story. So when you go to a community and you see such situation, it is not going to be something that will look far-fetched that you say, this thing that is happening, are you sure that we should even talk about it? Let us go to the data that says 3 in 1 women globally. Data is good, we'll come to that, but the authentic stories and the experiences that you have that is rooted in truth is what will form your own particular story. So in service of the audience. So it's not even just about you. It is not about, oh, I have an intervention. I have a great idea. I want to implement menstrual health hygiene. What is happening in that community? What are their own experiences? So it is not just about your story or, oh, this is what I experienced growing up. But what is happening to the community that you are bringing that intervention, that school, that environment? So it must be in service of the audience, that's the community you are serving. Narrative should center the needs and the perspective of those you're about to empower or those people you are trying to provide intervention for. It is not about you, but about them. Accountable to outcomes. Every story should have outcomes. Every communication strategy, every story you're trying to drive. We won't come online and start talking about menstrual health Monday afternoon, morning, afternoon. Let me say, I feel health didn't come up just because I feel health don't have what to do. I feel health is there because, and with conversation around menstrual health, menstrual hygiene is for a purpose. There's a specific outcome. There was a problem, there was a pattern of implementation, which you are even part of, like this cohorts. It's part of, you are part of the plan of Affair Health. In fact, I'm even going to, I'm moving ahead of my slides, right? But I believe it's good that we take this flow so that we establish these basics and we understand the conversation, right? So Afe Health is intentional. They know that, oh, this conversation around menstrual hygiene is not something that we are going to do alone. Menstrual health. We need to bring a community of people who we can train and equip them to now go into the communities to cascade these learnings down to the communities, right? Down to different locations, different states, different countries, different nations. It is intentional, and at the end of the day, I feel health going to sit down. Oh, we've been able to take this cohort. This is what they've learned. What is the measurable outcome? What have they been able to achieve? What are they cascading these their learnings down to this community? So every story has an outcome. I feel Health didn't create social media pages because uh I hope I'm right. Afe Health, right? Is Afe Health, right? I know that there is an acronym, but it's Afe, right? Please, can somebody confirm that so I won't keep saying the wrong word?
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much. Yes. So I feel I didn't create a social media page to start talking about menstrual health and menstrual hygiene because they don't have anything to do. It's because they had a story and it had to be measurable. There's a focus, right? So every story must have measurable outcome and focus. So what are the four foundations of impact storytelling? This brings us to one of the some expectations that we kept talking about: clear communication. I want to tell a story. My story must be clear, precision over simplicity, right? Communicate with precision and clarity. Every word matters when you're conveying impact. Whether which language are you choosing, whether you're trying to make a placard, whether you're trying to make a simple post, whether you're going into a community to talk about menstrual health, what you say needs to be clear. So let me still go back to our example about going to a community in Oyo State. Can somebody give me a community in Oyo State that I can pronounce? Not something simple. We're already talking about clear communication. Someone else other than Adebola, not you, our boss Halima, someone else. I need a community, just a name that is pretty simple in your state. Okay, I didn't get that, but I think I got one already, Mokola. So let's say you go to Mokola, getting to the community, you see getting to the community, you meet young girls. You've already heard about the situation, about little awareness and advocacy around menstrual health, around using of pads, around debunk some cultural beliefs around menstruation for young girls in this community. Or the most great hashtags with 90 tags or 90 usage, but use hashtags that are peculiar to you. If you're in the civic engagement space, you will know about Enough is Enough. Enough is Enough is a civic engagement project that has continued over the years. And there's even an initiative in it, Enough is Enough Nigeria. From being a campaign, an online campaign, it is now a full-blown civil society organization. So your project should have unique hashtags. Also understand, like we all know about NSAS, that if you type hashtag NSAS online, everything about NSAS will come out for those people that use the hashtags, right? So everything your project should have unique hashtags or your campaign name, aside having a name for your project, for your organization, every campaign should have a specific name that communicates what the project is about. Right? So match the information to the right platforms. Where are your primary or secondary audience? Are they on Instagram? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Twitter? Match your information, match the campaign, match your caption, match your post according to the platforms, right? If working comes by now, you know the same thing you post on LinkedIn is not the same thing you post on Twitter or X. X won't even give you that word count. So how do you reduce in such a way that within that little word count, you're able to communicate what your project is about or what your organization is doing within that little word count? Let's just go ahead. We should be wrapping up soon. Okay, humanize your story. We've already talked about this. So it is not just about what you say. Your message is only powerful as the people you reach. Humanize it. That's when I gave us this cheat code of using a one person persona So data informs what people inspire and connect. So humanize, find one person in a community. You don't have to release their name, but when you're telling your story, when you're talking about your work, have it in mind. Yes. Have it in mind that you're saying something, just one person that is going to be impacted. What is the story of that one person? Tell with dignity and consent. Don't post pictures of people that you've not given consent from because you want to do storytelling online. So consent form is very important. You can just use a Google form when you are going or a printed consent form and say, oh, these are just the guidelines. So be using your pictures from now on to talk about the work that we do. Do we have your consent to use them within the right framework? So consent is really important because you can be sued if it goes into the hands of people who really understand consent. Connect individual to systemic. The personal story must open a window on the wider issue, not remain isolated. So even when you're telling a story of someone, connect it to the wide scope. From telling a story of Ademola or Damilola in a community, connect it to the global scape. That's where you position your work in such a way that it has broad relevance. It is not only community centered, but it's positioned for global relevance and being scalable, right? So make the audience feel empathy, urgency, hope, responsibility. Okay, we've done this already. Okay, humanize your story, learn. So even when you're talking about the project that you do, learn your campaign, like what worked, what implemented, what can you use. You can always go back to your campaign, post about it, say, oh, in 2023, we went from this. When you implement a project, don't let it die. There's something I used to say, milk everything from your project. Milk everything. There's always something to post about, and these are about people who handle social media posts. Milk everything. Don't say, oh, it has passed. Even this cohort experience that you're having, you can post on about it on social media. Oh, we had a session on this, that, that, that. This is how you start strategically positioning yourself and recording your learning journey. I believe you've been having several sessions documenting your own journey, telling your own particular story about how you're becoming a health professional. So when people come across your work, they know that you did not just end up being a health professional or doing what you do, but you went through specific systemic trainings that have been able to equip you with the right information you're using to advocate. So this is a framework, but we are just going to jump this because of time. This is an example when I talked about the Climate Action for Stronger Nigeria project. If you look, you see the roll-up banner, even the third part, you see there is no planet B, is a climate related project. So everything, the media, the branding assets, from the placards, everything one way or the other is communicating what the project is about. Right. So when it comes to even your branding assets for your project, your placards, it's not segregated. It's not even about the title of your project. It's about those keywords and frames that you can use that when people in community see it or when people online see it, they know that you are conceptualizing your project for specific, you're conceptualizing your solution for a specific community, or they just fully understand what you're talking about all this period, even people in the community, right? So how do you drive? So okay, this was supposed to be a slide that'll come before. So measure, did behavior change? Did people act differently? Let me say now you have like a webinar. After this webinar, there can be a measurement. How many people showed up? How many people liked it? But even when they see the feedback form of, oh, you people should feel the feedback form of this session. How many people enjoyed the session when it comes to storytelling and communication for social impact? So you're able to track this for Affair Health, right? Able to track, was this session really impactful? Should we bring back this speaker or not? Or did they really understand? Was it too much, or they did not even take anything out of it? And that's why expectations are even very, very important, right? So was there a narrative shift after even implementing online campaign? Yes, that is the end of majority of our conversation. And I just had to add this slide because it's something that we see most often. So quickly, I will still ask again, have we seen these pictures online? Something like this, maybe in a banner, in a flyer. I just need yes, no, chat box, unmute your mic. You don't have to raise your hand. Have we seen this kind of picture online? Okay, Adebe
Yes.
can say yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Okay, thank you, Fumi. So this is something that will be kicking against, even when we come to Afro-pessimism, right? And the way people tell the story of Africans. But sadly, we Africans, we are even contributing to it because we want to position ourselves for funding, global funding, or want to be able to want to raise emotion and empathy. So we go to a community, we see you just see an innocent child playing, maybe with a torn clothes, chakam, snap the picture and say, in this community, quality education is very hard. While there are people in that community going to school, the child method of learning may not be the standard classroom experience that we all know about, but they may gather under a mango tree, they learn using their language for 5 hours, and but people leave that aspect, and just because that few minutes you see a child with torn clothes, you snap and you say, bam. Or you go to a community, the first case of FG, female genital mutilation that you see, maybe the lady is bleeding, you snap, bam, and you go and put online because you want to arouse empathy. That is a wrong storytelling. So the rules and ethics of storytelling say that we should beware of poverty porn, the way people use images and narratives to talk about suffering. You want to depict suffering, you want to depict empathy because you want to tell a story of this was what it is, this is the change that happened. I know that that journey is really, really important, but we should be very careful the way we tell our stories because we are trying to change the narrative of Africa. So we ourselves as Africans, we should be very careful that we are not the one championing it. Maybe because we want to write a grant, because we want to get access to funding. It's fine, you may get the funding, but you know within yourself that that is not the full story of that community. So attribution, that is it for that. Don't want to push further. Attribution and credit acknowledge sources. So go to a community, you're able to work with people. Don't just come online and say it is just me. Even your team members, acknowledge them, the photographers that worked with you, field workers, researchers, where you get your materials with. Funny how this will even help you to expand the work that you do. But some people do not understand is when they make a post about their interventions, they even forget to talk about their partners and they just go ahead and say, this is what we did, this is what we did. You are limiting your chances of future funding, or even limiting your chances of expanding work as you do. As little as even your team member that worked with you on a thing, credit them and say, oh, thank you for this. This person worked on this with us. That way, you're expanding, you're showing yourself that you're a great team player, truth and accuracy. Don't distort data or misrepresent outcomes because you want to tell a compelling narrative. You know that it is 10 people your intervention met, you increase it to 100 because you want to access funding or because you want people to see, this is the impact record. So when we do things, we should do things with integrity because social impact work is something that comes with passion. But even when we do with passion, we should also have our own core values as a person and as a social impact worker. Consent, I've already talked about this. Make sure you protect the identities of the people you are giving it. If you have no consent to put their pictures, don't do that. If you have no consent to use their names, don't do that. In fact, I don't even agree that you use names of people. You can just create a persona of a name of a person, hide their identities. There's even a way you can take pictures when people don't give you consent. Photographers are really good at that. You take their hand, you take their back view, you take their hand writing something, you take them lifting an object. People still connect to those pictures, right? And you little will you even know that consent was not given for you to take such pictures. So quick formula when it comes to advocacy and impact storytelling, just to wrap up, your story is defined by the problem, the evidence, the demand, the solution or the solution. Then what is your call to action, right? So remember our anchor principle. You cannot communicate or tell a story you do not understand. That's why we're talking about research, we're talking about different things. You must understand. And if you want to tell a story, tell it well, tell it for action, not just tell it for emotions, tell it for action. Tell it at the end of the day, people will want to do something. It's going to resonate. Even if it's to lead people to your website, it should lead to something, right? Thank you all for having me. Thank you for participating. So I'm open to your questions and your contributions. Over to you, Adebola.
Thank you very much, Ma, for this very impactful session. And again, yes, I took notes. So thank you so much. And from what you said, at least for starters, I was able to get the foundations for storytelling, observation, clear communication, insight, and narrative structure. So if anyone has questions, please let them post on the chat box or unmute their mics to ask. And well, I have a question myself. So you've mentioned while you were talking, you mentioned something about social media. Is a secondary audience. It should not be a primary audience. But I want to ask, what about campaigns that are like mostly social media based, more like probably they could not gather people offline. I know they would have done meetings to come up with something and all of that. But then what about, can't social media be a primary place to actually do advocacy? Does it have to be like a secondary something every time? Is there a way it can be a primary, it's sort of like a primary audience for people to actually communicate to others? So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adebola. Before I go ahead, I want to know if how the session was for us. So if you like to say something, please raise your hand. Then after I take Adebola's question, I want to get feedbacks from you. So I will really know right now on the call, how was the session? You can use the chat box just in case you're not able to type, right? So we'll not wait. Please don't wait for Adebola to call your name and say, oh, yeah, you speak. You can raise your hand, right? And also use the chat box so that while I'm responding to our question, I can get the feedbacks too on the call. I really appreciate that. Okay, so Adebola, yes, there was a moment when I said social media can be a primary audience. Depends on the focus of your initiative. If your campaign has a particular place for online campaign, so you can have an initiative that when you have a comp strategy, right? Or yes, when you have a comp strategy, you can break it down to, oh, this side is focusing on the community, this side is focused on social media. Or if you even have a plan that, oh, I want to educate people on menstrual health, for example, and I want to use social media, great. But first of all, define what aspect, what kind of initiative, or what kind of solution are you trying to bring, and who are your audience? Social media can be your primary audience. Social media now is a powerful tool. It's a great tool even when you're trying to set up yourself as a health professional or someone in social impact. Social media is where you strategically position yourself. I believe your founder, she has really maximized. When I talk about milking, she has milked it, right? She's always talking about her work in Nigeria, outside Nigeria, right? So it is a place where you can do your campaigns, where you can talk about the work that you do. But first of all, if you're doing a community-based project, that's what I said there. Why I have to put that in back? Because when people talk about storytelling outcomes, the first thing that comes to their mind is social media. So I had to take it to the back to first of all reorient our mind that social media shouldn't be the first thing you're thinking of. But even though you're going to use social media, the first thing you should think about is research, right? How do I get the right information for the community or for the project I want to do? What is the realities, right? So that's what I put it at the back. If your project if you want to use social media, good and fine. I use social media a lot, right? Use social media, talk about a campaign, talk about a project. So I'm not saying it cannot be a primary, but when it's fully focused on community, make sure that you are connecting with the community first. Then you are now amplifying it on social media to position yourself for funding and to tell the work that you are doing in that community, right? But if what you also do is basically on social media, you want very good and fine. We even have there are a lot of things happening on social media now that people don't even, the right information, you barely see the right information. Once it comes to relationship, marriage, things like that, you see like 20 people giving advice on top of one person, right? But now we barely see things around menstrual health, menstrual hygiene. So you can even take note of what is like this month of it is men's mental health awareness month. So if you're a guy on the call, even before the month finish, you have 3 days, you can even just go online, search some things, research what are the conversations. Like there's something Global Shippers even posted Lagos Hub about the common things that they tell men, be a man, man up. So that way you are using social media to talk about things, strategically position, even on notable dates, year notable dates, you start making posts, raising awareness. So social media can be a primary. First of all, like what I said is, if your project is community based, go to the community first. That's what I said. Do your groundwork. But if your project or your campaign is social media, maximize social media. Maximize it very well. Position yourself. Talk about what you want to do. Do videos, do content, gather your data, do your research. That when you are telling a story or you are communicating something, you are very authentic. It is not generalistic. There's something that makes your post distinct. I will wrap up here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Halima, that is having a target for your campaigns and a call to action, even if it leads to website visits. Thank you, Halima. Okay, Adeyemi, communicate to people on how to effectively prepare and research on topics and the right way to channel them to people. Thank you so much. So I think I would just leave Adebola to do all the feedback because it's not in my place, but I would love to see them come in. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Ma, for joining us on the call this night. And we hope that when next we have something to do like this, when we call on you, you'd answer us. So thank you very, very much. Really appreciate. And about the feedbacks, we're going to get every one of them. We're going to post it on our social media. Well, because now we have to use our social media platforms too. So we're going to post it and then all of the feedbacks we're going to write it there too. Thank you so much. So